All right, it's Wednesday night. Welcome to Rush Hour. I'm your host Dan, and I have my wonderful guest next. My other co-host right next to me. I'm
Right, guesting on my own show. That's the theme for this
I'm
week.
trying to kick you out of your own show.
I guess so.
So, how's it going tonight?
It's going good. It's going good. Got my workout in, got some cardio in before we started this show. We appreciate you guys joining us. It is another episode of Rush Hour, and we're on our last panel. It's been a long road since the draft. We've been doing division panels every single week, except for a couple weeks. We've thrown in some funny things there for you guys that I don't know if some of you liked it or got it. I don't know if you guys got the jokes, but we're on our last division. We have the NFC North, which everybody's joking, calling it the forgotten division. And I don't blame them. There's a ton of question marks around this division. So we are going to get into it with our panelists tonight. We're going to talk about their rookies. We're going to get some division predictions and what they think is happening, and some fantasy advice for you guys. So we appreciate you all being here. Dan, you want to bring them in? You want me to intro them?
No, I could intro them.
All right, go ahead. Bring them on in.
Batting leadoff, we're gonna have Dennis from Toilets to Trophies. Thank you, Dennis, for coming on. I appreciate it. I met you in the Frankenstink group chat. I'm like, hey, anybody a Lions fan? And he's like, yeah, hit me up. And I'm like, Dennis, my man, thank you for coming out, man. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear. The next up, Miles, our good friend Miles, is Spartan Mike's hookup. Thanks for Spartan Mike reaching out to me. He's a big Bears fan. If you ever need someone to fix your watch, where are you from, Miles?
I'm from outside of Philly, but I live in Orlando.
Outside of Philly. All right. So if you're outside of Philly or South Jersey, Miles is your guy to fix your watches. His social is your watch assistant. So thank you, Miles, for coming on. I can't wait to hear about your takes on the Bears. Next up, it's another group chat of mine that I was like, please, someone, anybody a Packer fan. My guy, Brandon. How's it going? How's it going tonight, Brandon?
Hey, man.
Thanks for talking Pack tonight. What's up?
Go Pack, go. And I'm just living the dream, man. Happy to be on with y'all.
And then lastly, he came. I was happy that he came on. Tyler, I'm sorry. Wow. Tyler from the Vikings Wire. Tyler, what's going on? How's it going tonight?
Things are good. I got a pork roast in the oven, and I just finished my show, and I'm excited to talk about one of the weirdest teams in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you because me and Nikki are Giant fans. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for your defense.
Yeah, you gave me a Christmas present, and I tricked your front office into giving Daniel Jones $40 million a year. We can call it even.
Yeah, okay, that seems fair. So Nikki, you want to take it away tonight? Where do you want to start off in the league news? Because it's a lot of drama. It's basically a week away from the franchise tags. Our certain running back that we remain nameless, obviously, is in the head of the news. Is it cap? Is it not cap? For all those young people that don't know what cap is, are they lying? Who's lying? Who's leaking out news stories? So it's a he said, she said type of situation on the Giant land. But is any of the franchise tags going to be situated by the deadline on the 17th?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm tired of talking about it. I really am. It is just, I know they're going through that over there in Vegas with Josh Jacobs, right? We're still waiting to see what kind of offer Dalvin Cook is going to get. We keep saying this week after week, and maybe you guys can jump in if you agree. Like, someone's got to blink here with the running back position and kind of pull the trigger. I mean, if you guys want to jump in, anybody have
Saquon's going to pull. Yeah. I mean, Saquon's got to. The franchise has all the leverage. You're running back. You've seen what has happened when running backs in their mid-20s take a year off. They don't come back.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's giving me Le'Veon Bell vibes all over again.
Oh.
I think this is different. I understand, running back, the whole running back still matter thing. And that once you get that second contract, the production value for dollar goes down. But at the end of the day, Saquon was so important to making that engine run for Brian Daboll's team. And when you don't have an elite level quarterback, you have to surround him with a lot of talent. There's not a ton of talent at receiver. You have a great tight end now, but it was Saquon that really cooked that engine last year. He has more leverage than you think, even though the outset says, hey, he's a running back. Just take the biggest contract you can get. But from what I saw, he wanted 16. The Giants offered 13. I think you probably should get a little closer to that 16 mark. And I don't blame him for holding strong.
I mean, that's the only thing he can do is try to hold out. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to just sign the franchise tag or just keep going with it. And Saquon, if I wasn't the Giants organization, he wasn't as efficient the second half of the season. He wasn't the main thing that was pushing him at that point. A big thing was Daniel Jones' legs and him scrambling when nothing would get open downfield. Because let's be real, the Giants even now still have a subpar receiving core. You even mentioned it.
100%.
Wow, Brandon, you're just coming in hot.
I'm sorry.
All right, you want to talk about quarterbacks? We'll get to your quarterback.
Mine. I'm really hoping Jordan Love is good. I'm also really hoping he's either really good or bad. I want to be.
Yeah, well, he's a Packer, so he's gonna have magical spells for him, and he's gonna be the next coming of Favre and Rodgers for your sake, hopefully. But for everyone else's sake, we don't know.
I've spent my entire 33 years of fandom watching Packers quarterbacks be Hall of Famers. If there's a third in a row, I live in the Twin Cities. When I go to Wisconsin, Packer fans are really nice. Packer fans in the Twin Cities are insufferable. I can't.
I bet.
I can't deal with it. I don't want it. No.
It's Cowboy fans in New York and New Jersey.
It's so funny because you guys, the Vikings actually hold the record for most division titles, but it's so funny. It's just you guys just have never done anything after that is the problem.
Okay, let's save this. Is there any other news other than the Jets making hard knocks, Nikki? Is there anything else? We'll get into that in a few seconds.
Mina Kimes is pregnant.
Oh wow, Mina's pregnant. Congratulations!
All right,
Mina.
Cool.
I missed that today.
In classic Mina Kimes fashion, at the ESPYs, brought a date and she's just covering her baby bump.
All right, good for her.
Mina rules.
All right, she does.
Great.
All right, good for her. Congratulations. Did you guys see that John Gruden says he intends to burn the NFL's house down in his pursuit of finding out who leaked these emails? Now, here's the thing. If his lawsuit moves forward, during discovery, they're going to find it, right? Digital forensics experts are going to find who leaked this. I mean, but I think it's funny that he said he's just going to burn the NFL house down. Who do you guys think? What do you think happened there? Who do you think leaked it? Because he's saying it was Roger Goodell, the NFL front office, that did it.
That whole scenario is insane.
Weird.
I have no idea who could have done it, but just him thinking that he could burn down the NFL is kind of insane. If concussions didn't do it, this isn't.
What most people don't realize is Roger Goodell's a lawyer. If he had, and he worked in the league counsel's office for however long, that if he would have done it, there's back channels. They're not going to be able to link it back to him unless they get somebody in an interrogation room and start Chinese water torture and try and extract information out. Goodell is too smart, and these owners are too smart as a general whole. Because Goodell's job is basically just take all the brunt from what the owners want.
Right.
That's why he's paid.
Right. And he gets paid a lot to do that. You know what was funny? They said, you know what else came out of this investigative story that Seth Wickersham and Don Van Netta were doing? So that also uncovered that Sean Payton didn't pay his $100,000 fine. Do you guys remember in 2020 when he and John Gruden got fined during COVID for not wearing their face covering in the bench area? So they also uncovered during this investigation a phone call between Sean Payton and John Gruden where Sean Payton said, I never paid that fine. You're the only dumb fuck that paid that. So we're going to see what else comes out. Are you guys surprised that he didn't pay it, Sean Payton? I know they've had a volatile relationship, the NFL and Sean Payton.
I mean, I'm not really surprised. I saw him at the Combine, and he rolled up in sweatpants and New Balances, So
Did he?
I'm not surprised at all.
All right. Yeah, he's.
I always figured it just came out of their checks.
I thought
so too.
Yeah,
I thought so too. I didn't think it was.
I didn't think they had a say.
Yeah, exactly. I thought so too, but I guess they do. I mean, like I don't know. I guess
that was before direct deposit. I guess, but it's weird. Well, we all know the situation with the Saints with Bountygate. So obviously, him and Goodell have bad blood, and then all the times the Patriots cheated, rightfully or wrongfully, in that situation, it's like you can't top one on Goodell. He could be like our buddy Jay says, Goodell's a scumbag. Yes, he is. That's why he's paid a lot of money to be that guy, and he does it pretty well. Yeah, he must be the best bad guy heel, and if we talk wrestling type of thing. I'm not going to go on a tangent like last week.
Yeah, let's not talk about wrestling. Like we don't. I don't care about wrestling.
Right,
I really.
What I'm saying is, he's basically the bad guy. He's good. Like he's good at being the bad guy.
That's what he gets paid to do, though. Like he's got to be Teflon. Like he's got to take all like the shit and the crap, right? And he's got to rep those owners and protect their investment and their best interests. I get it. What I don't like is that like the rules tend to be different for different people. You know what I mean? It's like someone was, I don't know, whatever, caught smoking pot, they get this. Someone's beating up their girlfriend, they get 1 game suspension. Somebody gets 6. I hate that personally.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I wish that they would work that out. But let's move on to a lighter, fun note. Hard Knocks. I know the Jets did not want this. They were all so vocal about not wanting to do Hard Knocks. I feel like it was such a natural pick for them. Everybody wants to see Aaron Rodgers. And listen, I'm intrigued. I don't even like Aaron Rodgers. He's a phenomenal quarterback. I won't take that away from him, but I just don't like him as a person. I cover the Giants for another media outlet, and I even jokingly asked them, can I switch to the Jets? Because I just have to see. I want to stand there and see this media circus. So are you guys into it, the Jets for Hard Knocks? I know the Lions were up again for it, right?
Yeah, they were. I think the Jets will be interesting, though, to see that dynamic between Rodgers and Zach Wilson, especially saying that he's going to make whoever comes in his life hell. So just see if he really holds up to that or if he caves.
That's a good point.
Right. And I made a joke today with my friends who are big Jeff fans. And I told both of them, if we don't see Aaron Rodgers tripping balls on mushrooms, then what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I think he's going to be really boring.
This is a big opportunity, a big boat. We don't have to see him ingest it, but we need to see him high as hell and just be insane.
Mm-hmm. He was supposed to record his darkness. That's what he called it, right?
Dark room. Yeah.
Well, we need to see that. All right. I mean, I'm excited. We'll see. I mean, I'm gonna tune in because I love mess. I love a good mess. All right. So let's talk about some of the rookies in your division. Let's move over to the Bears. So Miles, you guys went and took Darnell Wright, and it seemed like the right pick for you guys. Is that exactly what you needed over there? Because there was a glaring hole outside of the line. So what's kind of expectations for him, and how do you think he's gonna fit in and do in his rookie season here?
As a general rule of mine, I just don't have high expectations for rookies just because I've seen a lot come to Chicago and crash and burn. So
yeah.
Don't do that, but he was a top 10 pick, so I do expect him to start and not be a weak piece in the offense. Like, I don't expect him to go and have a Pro Bowl season, but I also don't want him bottom 5 like right tackles in the league. But I think at the time a lot of people were like questioning if that was the right pick, if it should have been him or if they should have taken Jalen Carter.
Right.
And I think it is the right pick. I think Jalen Carter is probably better fit with the Eagles, as much as I hate to say that because Eagles fans can be a little bit insufferable as well. So watching them get players like that isn't always fun. But it would be nice to see him in a Bears jersey, but I think the better fit is Darnell Wright because as much as it would be fun to watch the Bears have a good defense again, I really want to watch them have a good offense because I think I've seen one in my lifetime. It was 2013. and they had a top 15 offense, and that's like the only time I think I've ever seen it. So
hanging on to that one, right? Just
so
savoring
badly
that one, hanging on to it. No, I
want
get
it
it.
so bad.
I get it. All right, good. Over there in Packerland. So I saw an interesting article. I mean, you guys, Bleacher Report put out their biggest bust for each team, and they had Van Ness listed as Green Bay's biggest bust due to lack of experience and not starting at Iowa.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Well, okay. Starting is an overrated thing. Snap count is what you want to look for. Snap count and production.
Especially with the Kirk Ferentz team.
Thank you, my friend. And Lucas Van Ness, even when he came on as a freshman, well, his first year starting over there, he led the team in sacks with 7.5, was an All-American. He has the production, and also with his size and strength, he has a bull rush, which in today's NFL, a prerequisite of what you need. If you can have a bull rush and make offensive tackles respect you're going to go through their chest on a play, it opens everything else up for you. Now, he wasn't the edge I wanted. I wanted Myles Murphy, but that's more of just me personally. I want a more explosive athlete.
Yeah.
But I think Van Ness is going to be a good player for the Packers. I also think his versatility on the defensive line gives him more opportunities of where he could play. He could play over an offensive tackle, outside, or even outside shoulder of a guard and be fine.
Okay. So not a bust. No.
70% not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's move over to Detroit there. So you guys went and got Jahmyr Gibbs. So I don't think the expectation is he's not going to start right away, but we do obviously see he's going to be an offensive weapon. Do you think that they'll use him on a rotational basis?
I do see him more rotational. I've seen reports where he's lighting up in the slot as well. I think he's just going to be a gadget more to start off, and then kind of feel how Montgomery is with that line and stuff. So I think he's going to get his touches though.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So something there for him. All right. Over to the Vikings. So you guys went and grabbed my guy, Jordan Addison, but that's okay. Like, I'm very happy the Giants got Jalen Hyatt. But I do love Addison. So your coach came out and said he feels confident that he can learn all three receiver positions, which is just going to help Justin Jefferson because you guys can then move him around on the field. Is that the expectation? And what have you heard so far about his progress?
So his progress kind of got stunted. He had a hamstring injury at USC and re-injured it during rookie camp. So once they got into like OTAs and then mandatory minicamp, he was on the sidelines. Expectation is a full go for training camp. This offense it's going to be more of a hybrid of a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, where last year is much more of the Sean McVay. We're going to run 11 personnel. We're going to use all three receivers in a lot of bunch formations and line them up everywhere. And that's kind of where, as you mentioned, the idea of having him learn all three receiver positions is kind of a necessity in a Kevin O'Connell offense. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play all three of them regularly. He's just going to have to understand what each spot is going to do on certain plays so he knows what he's doing once he gets to the line of scrimmage. I don't know if Addison's going to play much right away. This new regime is only about 18 months in, but their first season, they didn't rush rookies at all. They slow played everybody but Ed Ingram because Ingram won the right guard job out of training camp. So unless Addison wins the wide receiver 2 job, or they decide to run a lot more 11 personnel, where the signing of Josh Oliver and then trading for TJ Hawkinson leads us to believe they're going to do more 12 and they're going to do a lot of more Kyle Shanahan inspired plays than what they did last year with the McVay style. I don't know how much Addison's going to play, and especially from like a fantasy perspective, he's a best ball guy. I don't know if I would trust him in a standard redraft because I don't know how much he's going to play. And that's kind of the tough one. I think he's going to be great long-term. I love the fact that he's just this twitchy, explosive route runner who has capable enough speed. But for this season, I have no idea what to expect. I just hope that he gets on the field, and when he's on the field, that he plays well.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I've seen reports though that they're higher on Reed going into this season than they are Addison. Is that kind of what you're hearing as well?
Yeah, Reed, are you talking Osborne?
No, I figured Osborne would be on the outside with Jefferson, but then Jaden Reed or Jalen Reed.
You're talking Jalen Naylor. Jaden Reed's a
Or
Packer.
Naylor, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because the top three receivers seem to be relatively cemented in, but they do like Jalen Naylor a lot. And he was a guy that Keenan McCardell pounded the table for when they drafted him in the 6th round. And they weren't even planning on taking a receiver, but McCardell wanted him that bad. I don't know what Naylor's going to be in long term, because the only 2 games we really saw him play were the blowout at Lambeau Field and then going into Chicago the next week. 2 games that he didn't really show anything against like a high level NFL competition. It was against backups, and backups against backups. It's a lot of times it's hard to really tell. He's got speed, but he needs to learn a lot of that nuance. That's where McCardell is going to come in big. Because if you remember him opposite Jimmy Smith, he was a technical machine, and that was his role in that Jaguars offense. I don't think he's going to start as wide receiver 3. He was still a 6th round pick, and he was a 6th rounder for a reason. He's not a guy like Diggs where he's just going to break out. All of a sudden in 3 years, he's going to be an all pro. But I don't think he's going to end up starting the season as wide receiver 3, barring injury, of course.
All right. Well, we got a bunch of questions in the chat specifically for the Vikings. A lot of the questions, and maybe, we'll just kind of like compile them here. A lot of questions about why they went Addison when the defense is so bad.
So there's a couple different routes to go here. Let's start with the defensive coordinator. Ed Donatel just flat out stunk. You can run a Vic Fangio defense and be really successful with it. There's a reason why like over almost a dozen teams are running that style now. He ran it very poorly, and he ran it incredibly predictable and would not adjust. So if like the Giants game, Daniel Jones,
it was the same as that game plan.
Yeah, it was the quick game. All you had to do is hit the quick game, get 5 to 8 yard passes consistently. And guess what? You're going to be able to march down the field and score 30 points. Right. There was no adjustments. There was no, hey, these receivers aren't very good in comparison to like most starting caliber receivers. Let's get in their face with our corners who happen to also be really good at press. No, we're going to have them play 5 to 7 yards off and just let him get destroyed with slants and crossers all day. Doesn't make a lot of sense. You bring in Brian Flores, who's going to put guys in position to succeed. Mm-hmm. The addition of Brian Flores, in my opinion, was the biggest in the entire division of any one singular person, because he's going to take the talent that's on the defense, which it's got talent, it's got potential, and he's going to put them in positions to succeed and be willing to adjust and not have like a more egotistical mind where I'm just going to run this and you're going to run it. And that's how we're going to live and die. That's too old school of a thinking. And one of the best defenses is a great offense. The Vikings had almost 63 and outs last year, despite having a 13-4 record. You take away 1 3 and out a game, all of a sudden that could turn into extra like 3 to 4 points a game on average. That turns things around completely. Plus, if the defense can get off the field, not allow 381 yards a game, bring that down to like say 320. We're talking a big jump, but not like, oh, this is all of a sudden the 85 Bears. You get an average defense. This team all of a sudden could potentially become a Super Bowl contender. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
The Vikings needed a wide receiver really bad. And outside of quarterback, he was probably their number one singular most important need. And I beat that drum the entire draft process. And they got a really good one.
All right, good. I know you guys have Kirk Cousins questions in the chat. That's like a tongue twister. And we'll get there because we're about to do a couple questions for everybody. And of course, we want to know more about that. But let's talk about, got one question each for you guys. Miles, talk to us about Justin Fields. Biggest question, is he going to progress as a passer? Now, look, I think we're all well aware wasn't a lot of talent, right? I mean, it's always, you've got to help your quarterback. You can't have, no one to throw to, no run game, you got to have some help. And they got him some help. I actually like DJ Moore there. And we'll kind of touch on that when we get to the fantasy segment. You added some pieces to the run game, to the offensive line. So is this the year that we start to see some progress from Justin Fields? Because he's like MVP rusher, but we got to see the passing game, start ticking up here.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of has to be the year. I think if he doesn't show it this year, they're going to be using one of those first-round picks on a quarterback next year, if not trading up to try and get was it Caleb Williams? So yeah, I think at this point it's kind of put up or shut up. So he kind of needs to. Like the excuses are starting to dwindle away for him. So if it, if the production still isn't there on the field, then yeah, I think his time in Chicago will be coming to an end shortly. But with all of that said, I don't think that's going to be the case. I hope he has a good year. This is going to sound like super outlandish, but I expect him to come close to breaking a lot of the Bears single season records. But that's strictly because the Bears single season records are like the bare bottom. Like they're just so bad.
The bar is very low.
It's so low. I think it's like they haven't thrown for 4,000 yards. They don't have a 4,000 yard passer. I think they're the only team in the league.
Yeah.
So he just has to throw for like 230 yards a game to get that, which in this league I don't think is like unattainable. And saying that, I don't expect him to throw for 4,000 yards just because I do think his running game is still going to be there. I don't think he's just going to like stop running the ball. So I still think he's going to be around like 700 yards rushing this year. So yeah, when I look at like numbers for him this year, I kind of look at what Jalen Hurts did last year. And if he can do, I don't expect him to do that because those are MVP level, and I don't want to put like super high expectations on this year. But
yeah,
I mean, if he can have something close to that, I'd be very happy. I think he passed for around 3,200 yards or something like that, 33. Jalen Hurts, and then I forget what he ran for, but I know Justin Fields ran for a lot more. So
no, if it wasn't for Justin Fields' speed, it would have been even more of a disaster season for you guys. Which it already
would have
was.
been terrible. If it weren't for Justin Fields, that would have been one of the most miserable Bears seasons that I've watched, and I've seen a lot. So
I was gonna say we've probably seen a lot. It almost feels like evaluating him's incomplete, right? Like let's see him with some talent around him and give him one more year to kind of work on that and progress a little bit here.
I've seen him in person twice. So his rookie year, I went to Cleveland for his first start, and that was a terrible game. I remember that game ending, and I was screaming that they need to fire Matt Nagy as he walked off the field. Like I was so fed up. That was week 3. We had to watch that for like 15, 14 more games, whatever it was. I can't remember if that was 17 games or 16 game season. But then the second time was last year against the Dolphins, and that was the most electric football game I have ever been to, and it was purely because of Justin Fields. So if he can bring more of that moving forward, I think a lot of Bears fans will be very happy. Yeah,
and you guys deserve it, right? I mean, it's just those like fan bases, long suffering. I know Lions fans can relate. I mean, and Giants fans, we've had a decade of like not great football play, so it's nice when some of these teams can start trending in the right direction.
You've only had like a decade of it, though. The Lions here, and they're
my lifetime, my entire lifetime. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about it. Actually, that's my question. The Lions are so hyped up right now. Like, can they live up to this hype? Because we see it, and Danny, it happened with the Giants. Like, you get so hyped up. Sometimes these teams get in their heads, psych themselves out, and then they have, just like a horrible season, So you've got more talent. You're trending in the right direction. Jared Goff's becoming a solid quarterback, but you haven't won a playoff game since 1991. So it's like you're raising the bar, but like, can you jump over it? Are they going to live up to all this hype that's around them?
Honestly, it's going to go the way Jared Goff says it's going to go. If he can build off of how he finished last year, then absolutely, I think the hype is real. Okay. But then if he's Jared Goff, it's going to just be another miserable year as a Lions fan, honestly.
Do you have faith in him?
That one's tough, honestly. It's tough. It's tough because I drank the Kool-Aid as the season wound down, and I was like, yes, finally. But then looking back, it is Jared Goff. So it's tough.
It's hard to trust, but I do have to thank the Lions because they covered like 70% of the time.
Definitely.
for betting. So that was great. That was great. I enjoyed that. But you guys are on the upward swing, so that has to be nice to see. But I'm with you. I'm not a huge Jared Goff fan, but I think he's improving.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Speaking
I'm
of
with them.
quarterbacks, is Jordan Love ready to lead the pack? Literally. And I don't think he's coming into like a bad situation, right? Your run game, you average 4.6 yards per carry. The defense is going to help him out. Here's the thing. It's not like Green Bay's got to score like 30 plus points every game to win a game. So can he step up? Can he manage this team? Can he do it?
Oh, he can definitely do it.
Okay.
I just want to see to what extent Jordan Love can. Like, what's the floor? What's the ceiling for Jordan Love? Is a complete and total mystery. Something that I do enjoy about him, though, he's a pure gunslinger. We saw it ever since he was at Nevada. Like, he is going to try to keep plays alive, maybe a little bit longer than he should, and he's going to take risk with the football. And Packers fans need to be prepared for it. It's going to be exciting in both a negative and a positive sense. This is a young receiving core that's also growing together. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jalen Reed, all three should be just meshing with Jordan Love and seeing how they can produce going forward. If you're going to draft one of them in fantasy, I would recommend Romeo Doubs for the current average draft position. He has the best rapport with Jordan Love and will give you the best return on your investment.
Okay. All right. You feel good.
I just want to throw out, like, as a Lions fan, it's nice to see in like the last 40 years, Green Bay kind of be like, oh, what do we have at quarterback? Now they finally know what the rest of us have been feeling.
Yeah, I know. My entire life, I've just been blessed by quarterback play.
Yeah. And I get to feel what all of us have felt. Oh, okay. What are we getting here? What's this year going to be like? But you're awfully optimistic. So
I can't wait for week one.
The history's on his side today. That's why.
Me too, friend. And guess what? My fiance's family are all Bears fans from around the Chicago area. So it's going to be so fun in the group text during that game, no matter what.
Yeah.
I almost think that's like a must-win game for Chicago. Like they need to win that game.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of fans will be very upset if they lose that game.
Yeah. That's the tone.
You guys have done so historically well against us in prime time, week 1, right?
Man, never forget that game. That game was nuts.
That one 2018.
Oh yeah, with Randall Cobb.
No, that was 2011.
Whatever won that Khalil Mack.
2018 was the Bears were up at Lambeau like 20-0, and then they lost by 1.
Yeah,
that one sucked.
Aaron
Rodgers came back on like horse tranquilizers. So
yes, that was the beginning of like there's something. He's addicted to something.
Yeah.
He was just tripping balls in the locker room. And that's how he came back.
When I saw him step back onto that field, all my energy just left my body. I was like, oh no, I know exactly how this ends.
Yeah. I've seen this movie before. I know what's about to happen.
Yep. And then just having to watch it. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Not great. All right. What about the Vikings? What exactly is the goal over there, right? So I believe Cousins is in his contract year. You still have Justin Jefferson. We talked about Addison, but no Dalvin Cook. So is this like we're in win now mode? Because it doesn't feel, it feels like a mini reset mode. So what exactly is the goal there in Minnesota?
So this is something that Quasito Fomenza talked about this pretty much the second he got in to the building. It's never been about rebuilding. It's about retooling. The specific phrase is competitive rebuild. Last year, they basically ran it back. Ownership thought, okay, we think we have one more year with this group. Let's try and make it work. Well, they won 13 games, and it's hard to look at that season and be like, okay, that was a failure. Like, that season was fun. The game against the Bills, coming back from 17 down, the biggest comeback in NFL history against the Colts, and a lot of close games. The losses were brutal because all of them were by 11 points or more until we got to the playoffs. But the wins were they were fun. It was entertaining. And we got a lot of really interesting things, including a Justin Jefferson great season. They always planned on moving on from a lot of people after the year. Adam Thielen kind of showed he was relatively cooked. He was dealing with like a hamstring injury, but he's pretty much cooked. And then you have like Eric Kendricks. His ability was to be able to be a middle linebacker that could run in coverage. Can't run in coverage well anymore. So that was $9.5 million off the books. Harrison Smith's going to be done after this year. Like all those veterans that they got rid of, like outside of the Minnesota Vikings bubble, like it feels like the shock to the system. We all saw it coming. We all knew that this was the general idea of the plan. You'd kind of see what you got and then move forward. And then last year there were 10 draft picks. There's going to be a lot of expectations on those guys, and we're going to really see what kind of talent evaluator Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is. If he's a really good talent evaluator, this Vikings team could really blossom into something that nobody expected. But this whole idea of, they're just tearing it all down. Not really. They still have 4 elite players at premium positions: Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, Danielle Hunter. Like that's more than a lot of teams have. And it's about seeing young guys rise up and meet expectations of being quality starters. They can do that. There's going to be a lot of shifted narratives on this Vikings team. Now, the quarterback thing is the big question. What are they going to do after this year?
Right.
I don't know. Find out. Like we really don't know either. We just know that they're not going to have any more discussions about an extension until the end of the season.
Okay, that's interesting. So we just kind of wait and see, right?
Yeah.
Wait and see for Cousins. I think Jay brings up a good point about Jordan Love, and everything you hear is experts either really love him or they hate this guy. It's like there's no in between. So
sounds familiar.
Schrodinger's quarterback, man. That's it. He's got to open the box.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see, how he plays and what he ends up doing. Danny, do you have anything for the division before we move on to some fantasy questions? You got any questions?
No, you could take it away. They all did a phenomenal job.
Of course they did. Professional.
Hit everything I wanted to know.
Come on.
We'll talk more about fantasy because Jay mentioned it in the chat, and I obviously want to talk about it as well. Is Christian Watson?
I got him. Yeah,
he went off last towards the end of the season once it got going. So we'll talk about him in a bit.
Well, let's just do it now since that was my question too. And everybody in the chat wants to know about Christian Watson. So here's the thing. I found this stat, right? So is his productivity going to struggle with Jordan Love? So Love struggled with accuracy. So he was off target, more than 27% of throws that traveled 10 yards or more. Now, Watson had a drop rate of 9% on passes more than 10 yards. So how is that shaping up for fantasy? And do you think his productivity is going to take a hit?
Oh, year one, Jordan Love, it will. If you paid attention to a lot of Christian Watson's production of Aaron Rodgers, it was a lot of contested catches, close proximity, high accuracy balls need to be thrown. With Romeo Doubs, he's a much better route runner, knows how to get a little bit more separation down the field, especially 15 yards and beyond. That's going to be who Jordan Love is going to be targeting down the field for more high points. I would fade Christian Watson, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Fair enough.
That's fair. I think it's fair. All right. What about Jahmyr Gibbs? So is he worth a 3rd round pick? Seems like he's RB2, maybe as RB1 upside, right? And I think you can attribute that to his acceleration, pass catching ability. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I definitely think he's worth a 3rd.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, he's going to get his touches, whether it's carrying, it's catching, out of the backfield or in the slot. He's going to get his yardage somehow. He's going to score you points. I think, not to get off Gibbs, but I think the big fantasy question for them would have to be Montgomery.
Right.
If they're going to use him more like they did Jamal Williams last year, just 1
yard in.
I
was going to ask you that. Good call.
Or if he's actually going to tote the ball 10, 15 times for him. I think that would be more of the question area for Lions running back.
Interesting.
It hurts that he went to the Lions. I liked him. I liked him a lot. Then he went to the Lions.
Yeah,
Him a
he
little
was
bit
your
less now.
main contributor for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've seen it in the chat a million times. DJ Moore. I like DJ Moore over there in Chicago for Justin Fields. Is he going to see enough volume to produce, wide receiver team members? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
DJ Moore is going to be the top wide receiver for the team, and I don't think it'll be close for anyone else. Like everything coming out of OTAs and all the spring camps were that their chemistry picked up very quickly, and it was very clear that he was the number one option in the team or on the field, and the passing offense kind of went through DJ Moore. So the better that Justin Fields and DJ Moore are together is kind of the direction that the passing offense is going to go. I still think they'll have a really good run game.
Okay. No, I when that trade happened, I was like, oh, I love this for fantasy. And I tweeted it out, and people were like, Nikki, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't know anything. And so, but listen, I bet you I'm going to be right. We're going to be right. Just so you guys know, DJ Moore has cleared 100 targets for 4 straight seasons. So I really like this setup for him in terms of fantasy. For the Vikings, and we touched on it with Addison, he's currently sitting outside the top 35 for wide receiver. Expectation is he's going to get some softer coverage. So do you think we're going to see fantasy returns in this Adam Thielen 2022-esque type of way, or not for Addison?
I have no idea. And that's really a tough question, because I don't know if he's going to end up being wide receiver 2 at any point this year. They really like KJ Osborne. He got drafted in the 5th round of 2020 as a punt returner, not a receiver. They announced him as a returner, and he has worked his way up into being a starting wide receiver for this team. He had 350 of his 650 yards in the last 4 regular season games last year. So he came on really strong at the end. But Hawkinson's the number 2 target in this offense. And they're going to try and establish the run more. They're going to utilize 12 personnel. And because of that 12 personnel, it's going to leave less opportunities for that secondary wide receiver, that 2, 3, and 4. That's why I mentioned best ball leagues. I think Dynasty is the best avenue, because I think his best year is probably in 2024, where he's going to really establish himself. They're not going to re-sign KJ Osborne at a $10+ million clip, which is what he's going to command in free agency. And that's when you're really going to start to see that shine. Outside of injury, or he just breaks out like Jefferson did in 2020, I just don't see a path of an elite season from him, because there's just so many other variables that are, quite frankly, out of his control. Even if he becomes a wide receiver 2, he's still the 3rd option in an offense that has spoken at lengths about wanting to run the ball more.
Okay. Let me ask you guys a personal, selfish question. So the position I hate the most in fantasy and struggle with the most is tight end. How do you guys, what's your strategy when it comes to tight end?
Elite or wait it out.
Wait it out?
It's either you get elite top options, or you just wait it out and see if you can pluck this year's Evan Ingram.
Right. Yeah. No, that's my
Depends where you're picking from.
I chase volume over touchdowns, because touchdowns are inherently random. But if you're getting volume, that leads to a propensity of more opportunities for touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm with Tyler on that.
At the end, I always chase a touchdown guy as my backup. Like Juwan Johnson from New Orleans. He won me a couple weeks last year because he got touchdowns. That's the kind of guy I want as my backup, because there's that high upside, but it's not going to be a week-to-week consistency thing. But if just chase volume, that's my biggest piece of advice for tight end.
All right.
I'm with you on that.
All right. No, I love it. Need that. Because usually I just try to stream them. And you know what? The thing is, I'm holding this grudge against Evan Ingram. So I'm doing it to myself. And I just can't draft him. If you're dropping a division against the Eagles, I'm still bitter about it. Sorry. But I do want to win my league. So we'll see. Danny, do you have anything fantasy wise that you want to know for the panel that we didn't touch on yet?
Who's the number 1 wide receiver? Well, we know who the number 1 wide receiver is, but coming from the Lions, what else should we expect? Obviously, Williams is going to be missing some time because of gambling, but we really didn't see much of him until the last game of last year. When he comes back from suspension, is he worth to maybe like stash like a week before he comes back, because he could potentially go off, and then you're like, oh wow, I got him. All right, I could drop him for like maybe my backup kicker if I keep one, or my last running back, or my last wide receiver that like, all right, he's going to be riding the end of my bench. But if he comes back and then in a week or two and maybe in the playoffs there's a good matchup, it's worth taking that risk. What do you think about Williams for the Lions? I know after the suspension.
Me personally, in some of my leagues, I've picked him just to stash him.
Okay.
But that could just be because he's a Lion, and right. I'm hoping he does well. Or he could have another season like last year where you barely saw him once they said he was healthy. So he's kind of one of those flip a coin sort of players, I think. Yep.
Okay. All right. You know what? The worst part of fantasy is like when I'm sure it's happened to you guys. You've all played for a long time. Don't you hate when you have to like draft someone from your rival team that you hate so much? I can't stand it. It'll be like, I need Jalen Hurts to have such a good game. And it's like, God, I want the Giants to win. So speaking of the division, do you guys have predictions? I know it's way too early. I know it's mid-July. Nothing is official yet. But what happens in this division? Because I feel like there's so many question marks. Like the chat even had a million questions. So who's taking this division? Is it Minnesota's to lose?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. And then I think it's a fight between Green Bay and the Lions for one of the last wild cards.
Yeah, they're going to be that 7 and no, it can't be 7-9, but it's that what used to be the 7-9, 9-7 team that are either they're just going to miss the playoffs because they lose too many one-score games, or vice versa. With between basically what the last game of the year was last year, because. It was supposed to be a playoff game, and then magically all the things fell out of favor for the Lions. But yeah,
it's the old Ric Flair adage: if you want to beat a man, you got to beat the man.
Exactly.
The last time the Lions won the division, it was the AFC Central or the NFC Central. And
wow,
now defunct Houston Oilers won their last division title that same year.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's
wow.
They had a couple chances with Stafford. They had that one Week 17 game against the Packers that didn't go their way. But I love Dan Campbell. I love how they've started to construct this team. And I really think this will be the year. But if it's going to be the year, you still got to prove it. You got to go out there and win the games. And until a lot of people see it, there's going to be major skepticism and question marks, and whether fair or not, like this isn't the same team as those like really poor years in the mid 2000s with Joey Harrington at quarterback or Charlie Batch. This is a different team, but at the end of the day, it's still the Lions franchise, and they've been consistently not winning divisions for 30 years.
Man, that Bobby Lane curse just hit different, huh?
Man, I hope that they just give Dan long enough.
My father wasn't even born yet.
No, Dan won 9 games last year. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I think he is too, but I just don't want the front office to hear the hype and put such high expectations on him from the fans.
Right.
So I hope that they don't fall to that trap.
I mean, you guys have the best offensive line in this division. You guys have a team that's on the up and up. I understand where everyone's expectations is, especially since what you guys did in free agency too, addressing that secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I still don't think you guys are going to win that division with Jared Goff, though.
Oh, I don't think we're going to win the division either. I'm saying a wild card team is where they'll be at this year.
Oh, all 4 of these teams are essentially wild card teams.
Yeah.
To be honest, these teams like. Probably the Vikings cap out at like what, 10 wins?
Yeah. All right, let's do it. How many games are the Vikings winning? Tyler, what do you got? How many games?
The range is they're gonna bottom out at 7. I think the cap is 11. Okay. They have an insanely tough group of opponents. They play the entire AFC West, and they get the NFC South, so they could in theory run the gauntlet there and win all 4 games.
That's what we did last year.
Like you have the Chiefs, you have the 49ers, you have the Eagles, you have the Bengals. They play all four of the Final Four teams from last year. And then you also have the Chargers, you have the division games. Like, this is not an easy schedule. And you're going to learn a lot about this Vikings team after week 5 when they play the Chiefs. Because then week 7, they host the Niners on Monday Night Football. And, like, it's a rough start, but if they come out firing, they could be fine. Because the Chargers they're like the Lions. They're going to charger. Like, there's a lot of question marks, but this team is too good to be actually bad, and too many question marks to be like a really, really good team unless everything hits.
Yeah. Too many things have to go right. It has to be like a perfect storm. How many games are the Packers winning?
Ooh.
Please answer all these questions.
I'm gonna say 8.
This.
I'm gonna say 8.
8. Okay.
It's a tough schedule, but there's some teams that are right around the same talent level we are. We could come away with 8 wins from the schedule. I don't have high expectations, honestly, for us this year. It's a rebuilding year, retooling year, seeing what we have. And honestly, I'm hoping either we're in the hunt to win our division or closer to having the number 1 overall pick. I do not want to be in quarterback purgatory. No offense, Bears fans.
Welcome.
Yeah.
No,
you don't want that. All right. How many games are the Bears winning?
I think they'll be around like 7 or 8 wins.
Okay, I think
that's
fair.
like I think they'll. I hope they'll be in conversation to make the playoffs in December. Like I think if that happens, then that's a pretty successful season. And obviously, if the offense flourishes, so yeah, I'm thinking like 7, 8, maybe 9. I might be getting a little too bullish there with 9, but
no, it's good. It's good. I think 7's fair. You can see 7 maybe. Okay, what about the Lions?
I'm going to say anywhere between 8 and 10.
Okay.
I think this is the year that we finally make the playoffs again. Probably lose in the first round, but we'll at least make it.
Baby steps.
Right. And the Cowboys formula. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you guys hate the most in this division?
Packers.
Packers.
Yeah, Packers. But now
I get it.
Yeah,
right.
Packers.
I get it too. Right.
Right, Minnesota.
Yeah. No, I get it. I could see why everyone would hate the Packers. Danny, do you have anything else before I ask my one final question?
No, you can ask. I asked all the hard-hitting questions.
You asked the hard-hitting questions. Do you guys all eat chicken wings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I saw this on Twitter.
Red-blooded American is the right answer.
You saw my debate that I just will not give it up.
I did.
So do you guys dip your chicken wings in ranch, blue cheese, or other? Or is it something else?
Other, more of the sauce that's already on the wing.
Okay. All right.
Blue
I would have to
cheese.
say, it depends on how spicy the wing is.
It's ranch.
I think traditionally, I would start with ranch maybe for like your traditional like barbecue or whatever. But if it gets like super spicy, I might switch to like blue cheese. I don't know why.
Peanut butter and jelly wings, dip them in ranch. It sounds weird as hell, but it's very good.
Jelly wings?
Did you say peanut butter and jelly wings?
Yep.
There was
peanut butter on one side and jelly on the other.
How does that work?
So,
how does that work?
There are a couple places around here, and I think it's growing in popularity. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sauce.
Okay.
And then you coat the wing with it and then dip in ranch. The ranch is mainly just because it helps balance out the heat of the wing, like the actual temperature, but it's really good.
Wait, the peanut butter and jelly wing is hot?
Well, temperature wise, yeah, because the wing is in a fryer. I'm not talking spicy.
Okay.
Oh, they're talking spicy.
Okay.
They're kind of like, that's kind of a sweet flavor. Like, how do they do that?
No, it's not spicy. I mean, you could add something like a sriracha to the base of the sauce to make it more spicy. But yeah, peanut butter and jelly wings are shockingly good, just like a peanut butter and jelly burger.
I
haven't tried that yet.
It's a savory and salty combination. Think of a chocolate covered pretzel. It's the same general construct.
But on a burger.
I don't know if I'm brave enough to try that, honestly.
That's nasty. LOL.
Listen, they're very popular out here in Minnesota. I used to live in Fargo, North Dakota, where it might have been invented, and I thought it was just the dumbest thing of all time. I ordered some. I'm like, okay, these are really, really good.
That sounds like
peanut butter is used in a lot of Indian food with like savory flavors. I can see how it can work. I could definitely see chicken. Yeah. No, I get it. I could see it being okay. I can see it being. It's something I think I would try once, but probably not order too many times.
Like one
try it just to say you try it.
Yeah, like the whole table tries one, and that that. Yeah, like
have to just take my V card for the wings. There you go.
Okay. So no one does blue cheese. Miles, you said you do blue cheese, right?
No, I mean I will dip it in blue cheese, but I'd prefer to I don't really dip it, so
just plain. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Food culture in Minnesota must be brutal, Spartan Mike says. All right.
Listen, when you grow up on tater tot hot dish and stuff like that, like we have a different food culture. What's spicy? Black pepper. Like
sounds like it.
Look at me. You can't see it because I got in a ponytail, but my hair looks like
that's crazy.
Like I'm like a pure blood Norwegian. Like this is what we are. We're Midwesterners. Like we're pretty basic with our food, but we get unique in different ways.
Okay, they want to know. Don't you have Culver's in Minnesota? I don't know what that
Culver's
is.
rocks.
Culver's Butterburgers.
Buffalo chicken tenders are so much better than the regular ones because the meat is like 10 times better. I don't understand why the meat is better with the buffalo chicken tenders than the regular ones, but I will say their cheese curds stink. You want great cheese curds, go to some podunk bar in Wisconsin. It'll be the best thing you've ever had in your life.
All right, can I just ask you guys, okay, what is a cheese curd? It's not like a mozzarella stick, right? What exactly is a cheese curd?
Have you ever seen a log of mozzarella where it's like kind of wet, kind of soft? The construct is the same. Okay. Where
they dump gravy in it, right?
Yeah, well, that's poutine.
My bad. That's Canadian.
Cheese curds are like a different thing, like slightly different, but it's like a wet, soft cheese. When you eat it, they squeak. And a lot of places will deep fry them. And that's when it's just phenomenal.
But it doesn't melt like mozzarella. It stays a little bit more firm. That's the real difference between that and like a mozzarella stick.
A great intro to cheese curds, go to B-Dubs.
B-Dubs cheese curds are underrated.
Cheese curds.
I completely agree with you, especially that Southwest ranch they give with it.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I managed B-Dubs for 5 years, so I'm well versed on chicken wings and curds and all that stuff.
You guys all eat cheese curds? You guys all had them before? Yeah.
Oh
yeah. No.
You all say mozzarella hilariously though. Even Nikki from being from the area, you all say mozzarella funny.
Mozzarella? What's
mozzarella
so funny about that?
Listen, I'm from the shore area. It's a little bit different. Everybody thinks Jersey's like, hey, cup of coffee. But where I live, it's Jersey Shore area.
Listen, I'm born and raised in Minnesota. When I go down to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, I get asked a lot of questions. And mainly they want me to say bag.
Bag.
That's it. Yeah. They want me to say words like bag. Milk.
Yeah, I get made fun of for how I pronounce my A's, like bag and tag.
No. I would be like Cousin Vinny if I went down to Mobile, Alabama.
All you got to do is ask them to say oil.
Oil.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask my friend if he ever asked that because when he went a couple weeks ago. So.
Yes, Tuto. Nikki's always right. Everyone, please listen. Spartan, I also have never had tater tot hot dish. So I'm learning a lot tonight. So
it's a Midwestern thing. Yeah. I grew up in Iowa and
what is that? Casserole. It's tater tot, like casserole?
Hot dish is Minnesota for casserole. It's like ground beef, tater tots, like a bag of mixed veggies, and I think like cream of mushroom soup.
Yeah,
it's
just like everything from your freezer put in the oven.
Sounds like
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, guys, thanks for the culinary lesson. I know we gave you guys fantasy and we got the division down pat and we talked rivals, but really this was the most important part of the show. So tater tot hot casserole.
Tater tot hot dish. If you Google it, It's pretty easy to find a standard recipe.
Okay, got it. PB&J wings and cheese curds. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Well, thank you guys so much for being good sports and hanging in and joining us. I know it's always a big ask to have people come and spend an hour with us. You probably have so many other things that you could be doing. So we truly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. This is our last division panel. So stay tuned. We got more coming for you. And that is it for Rush Hour. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Bye.